Good morning, Brenham. This is just the most wonderful time of the year for me. In fact, there's songs dedicated to it being the most wonderful time of the year. Before we get started, I need to make two announcements because I'm going to forget. On the calendar, if you will, look at December the 17th. We need to fill in Ashley Harris's birthday on there. I will take responsibility for that got overlooked. Ashley Harris has a birthday on December 17th that was not put on the calendar. If there's any other dates on there that we may have missed, please let us know. The other one is something I'm new to, but I love the idea. We're going to gather Christmas cards on the 12th. Bo, can I get a nod? Was that correct? The 12th? Okay, so if you plan on sending a Christmas card to somebody in the congregation, you can drop them off to, we're going to have a box set up. You can put them in that box. We will bundle them all together, and our children will hand those to you on the 19th. That'll save you 53 cents in postage, okay? So that's something that the church has done in the past, I've been told, and I love the idea. It will cost you nothing. It'll just be a great service project for our kids and give you a way to send Christmas cards to one another without actually having to pay for the postage, which is pretty exponential considering some of you probably mailed stuff for, 4 or 5 cents when you were younger? I don't mean that in a bad way. Actually, I figure I could just end the lesson now with that wonderful singing that Dale has done this morning. And I want to thank Larry, Chris, and Shannon. Man, it's hard to follow those men up. They do a great job with their public part in worship service, and I want to thank them. But let's talk about this. I love this time of the year. I love the Christmas holiday season. The food, the lights, the smells, the gatherings of the family, the movies that we watch together, opening gifts, or in my case, watching my kids open gifts. It's just a happy time for me. But I realize that it's not the greatest time of the year for everybody. We have people in here, I've got family members, that this time of the year is a struggle. We go through some pain because maybe we've lost a loved one or we reminisce on years of the past. This is not the greatest time of the year for some, and I understand that. But let's talk this morning a little bit about pain. Pain is not always bad. In fact, we're going to talk about how we can actually use pain to learn. I told you, for the past however long we've been here, I love movies. One of my all-time favorite movies, because I thought I wanted to be in the military, was G.I. Jane. Strictly because of the military. It had nothing to do with Demi Moore. But G.I. Jane was a great movie. But there's a quote in there by Viggo Mortensen, and he says, "Pain is your friend. It lets you know that you're not dead yet." How about this one? I'm going to go to another movie. There's a reporter, and he asks the question. He says, "What's your prediction on the fight then?" And the man looks at the microphone and goes, "Pain." Does anybody remember that movie? Anybody? That is Rocky III, Clubber Lang, old Mr. T. Okay. Pain, as Luke Bryan says in his song, "Rain is a good thing." Sometimes pain is a good thing. A few weeks ago, we took our youth to Corpus Christi to Bible Bowl. And after the event was finished, we decided we're going to go to the beach. Okay? My first trip to the Corpus Christi beach, it was beautiful. It was chilly. I don't like cold water. I'm a warm water kind of person. Yeah, especially like warm water or neutral water on a hot day. Well, it was neither of those. So I stood on the beach most of the time. And we got to throwing the football. Me and Shannon and Chris. Sean had waited out for 1.5 miles with all the kids out in the water. And we got to throwing the football. Well, that went from throwing the football to kicking the football or punting. And that went to seeing Chris do a handstand to me seeing how long I could do a handstand. Needless to say, 36-year-old Brett woke up the next morning with a hurt hip. My right shoulder felt every move that I could think of. My body ached. And I realized that I don't use those muscles anymore like I used to. In fact, this past weekend, I just threw this into my lesson this morning. We were playing this washers game, and it may be different than the washers you've played. There's a box with 3 holes in it, and you stand so many feet away, and you toss washers, try to make it into the hole. I reached into the hole to get the washer out and did my hand like this and pulled something in my elbow. And you can ask Haley, I had ibuprofen. I couldn't move my arm very well. It was tough. But Jason said, get ready. Yeah, I'm on my way. What do we know about pain? Pain, letting it cool down. Whole time my dad's working, he didn't say anything. I'm like, this is great. I get to play with fire and not get into trouble. Well, he finishes. And Dad says, hey, Brett, let's go ahead and wrap it up. Turn the bottles off, because he never liked to leave the bottles on just in case oxygen or acetylene would leak out. 8 or 9-year-old Brett goes, yes, sir. Like that, in the searing of that inside my palm, because I grabbed onto the fence to bend down to turn off the bottles. I still can, like, I got cold chills telling you all about that. I still feel just the searing into my hand. Like, that's what branding feels like, I'm assuming. The smell even. Anyway, I holler. And my dad grabs me, and first he doesn't know what's going on, then he realizes. And he grabs me, he takes me into one of the old rooms in the barn where we used to bottle feed calves. We'd mix up the milk for the bottles, and he started running cold water on it. And he gave me a talking to. Surprisingly, my dad gave me a talking, not a spanking. But I think he realized that the pain from that was way better than any pain he can inflict on me and me still survive. But what does this tell us about how can pain protect us? Proverbs, a great book in the Bible, Proverbs chapter 6, verses 27 and 28, specifically talks about playing with fire. It says, can a man take fire to his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Can one walk on hot coals and his feet not be seared? So what can we learn from pain? I was playing with fire and I got burnt. Okay? 9 times out of 10, when I play with stuff that I shouldn't, I get hurt. Fireworks. Didn't blow anything up. I tried to throw a firework. It didn't go very far. Took off running, pulled a hamstring. This happened like 2 years ago in front of the entire youth group. Actually bruised all down the back of my thigh. So anyway, pain offers protection when it comes to sin. Because you think about it, how long can we play with dangerous stuff? How long can we be around sin, or we can be around things that it doesn't start to affect us? Like that fire. I knew that fire was there. I knew. I did it. I heated that metal up. But in an absence of judgment or a moment of weakness, I burned myself with something that I knew I shouldn't have been doing in the first place. Getting ready to move to Brenham, we had some touch-up paint spots at our house in Macomb. And Haley, is, hey, let's paint it. Oh, yay. So we got to painting. I ruined 3 or 4 sets of shorts and T-shirts trying to be as careful as possible, but you can't help that bristle goes like that and slings paint on you. I was too close to it. I was in a situation I should have never been in with the clothes that I was wearing. Sin is that same thing. We think we can be careful. We think we can touch it and play with it and be around it, and it won't affect us. But just like that fire, just like that pain can offer the protection if we heed God's warning. Lastly, that I think most people need to hear, because I need to hear this, is pain is temporary. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult to talk about. As many of you know, I lost a brother-in-law recently, and in the time of losing Ben Price, I've got 2 brother-in-laws named Ben. It's so weird to talk about. Yeah, I was visiting with Ben this weekend, not the one that passed, the other Ben. But I lost a brother-in-law named Ben. And then with Mr. Butts passing around the same time, I knew that this congregation might need to hear this. Pain is temporary. My sister's still dealing with heartache, as many of you are today. And It's hard to see a future without pain. When you lose a loved one, when you lose somebody you really care about, it's hard to see that future without that hole in your heart. And in fact, I occasionally get it thinking about the holidays with Ben, because he was our cooker. He would always prepare all the meats and all, and we would already be eating, but he was cleaning up outside. And I missed it this Thursday at Thanksgiving. I missed Ben opening up the door and coming in last to eat. And I know my sister misses that. And I know that y'all miss Mr. Butts, and I know that y'all miss other people that you've lost in the family. And pain of the heart is tough. Pain of the heart may be the worst pain there is. I don't know if any of you ever had a crush before that broke your heart. But I vaguely remember my first crush. And it brought about feelings of betrayal and embarrassment and anger, hatred. And I know that I've got two girls that they're going to have their hearts broken one day. And I'm not looking forward as a father to consoling that, because even at 36 years old now, about a girl that I could care less about, that I don't know where they are or what their life turned out to be, I still remember that pain of that first crush, breaking your heart. It seems endless. But to throw out another movie quote, pain heals. Chicks dig scars, and glory lasts forever. If you've never seen Keanu Reeves in The Replacements, I suggest you go watch that this afternoon. It's actually a really good movie. But pain does end. Glory does last forever for those that are saved by God's grace. Revelation 21, chapter 21, verses 3 through 8. I'm going to read it straight out of the Bible here. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, now the dwelling of God is with men, and he will live with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, mourning, or crying, or pain, for the order of things has passed away. He who was seated at the throne said, I am making everything anew. Then he said, write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true. He said to me, it is done. I am the Alpha, the Omega, the beginning and the end. To him who is thirsty, I will give to drink without cost from the spring of the water of life. He who overcomes will inherit all of this, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magical arts, the idolaters, and the liars, their place will be a fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. I included that last section of Revelation chapter 21, mainly verses 7, 8, and I also went into 9, because I tell you that pain is temporary. Pain is going to end one day for some. Pain is going to end someday for some. Others, it won't. What's wonderful about this is you get to decide if you want that pain to end. You can decide for yourself if you want to be in the place where pain doesn't exist, where there's no more death, where there's no more suffering, or if you want to be, as Revelation chapter 21, verse 9 says, the second death, a burning lake of sulfur. I racked my brain on how do you close out a sermon like this, because I'm an upbeat person. I like to have everybody happy and rejuvenated when they leave church. But if I was in sales, I would give you a call to action. In sales, you never let the client leave without making a choice. But guys, I'm not trying to sell you God. I'm not trying to sell Jesus. In fact, if anything, I'm pleading. I'm trying to beg you. I'm imploring that you make that decision to follow Jesus today. To a Christian, pain is a good thing. Christ endured pain so that we as Christians will have the gain. As a church congregation, we have many roles, but one of those roles is to help those that are struggling. those that are having to make decisions, those that are deciding whether to follow Christ, whether their life is right with Christ, let us as a congregation help you through this time to escape this pain that we think will last forever and go into a place where pain will end. If the Brenham Church of Christ, or if I or myself or anybody in here can help you with making this decision or anything in your life, I ask that you please take this time to come forward now as we stand and as we sing.